So here we are again, another Michigan victory. 1-0 now in the Big Ten, if only on a technicality because the team that we played today is technically a Big Ten team for some reason. This game was okay. That's how I'm putting it down. It wasn't spectacularly bad, it wasn't spectacularly good, it was just okay. Admittedly, they were not playing ideal conditions. They had to play in the wind and a little bit of rain as well. Obviously, a far cry from the absolutely perfect days we've had in Ann Arbor the last couple of weeks. And it's a road game. Michigan still has issues with road games. I think it's kind of, they're more psychological issues at this point, and given their road record the last couple of years, that's pretty easy to see why. But hopefully this one will go toward fixing that. And the third reason I think that today's team kind of came off flat, I mean, they couldn't really get anything going till the second half. Michigan won 28-0, but they took a 6-0 lead at the halftime, and both those points came off field goals. I think this was really kind of a letdown game because this is a thing that tends to happen in sports, especially high-intensity ones like football or basketball. After you get a really big emotionally charged win, you will sometimes just kind of go into the next game just kind of coming out flat. I mean, you're just not going to be there. You're just going to kind of take the game off. You're not going to even bring your C game, let alone your A game. And I can't imagine that. I know Harbaugh likes having these guys ready to play, but I can't imagine they weren't thinking, oh, we got to go to Maryland now. You know, we got to go play in the rain and stuff, and we got to play another noon game. This is the fourth noon game Michigan has in a row. Now, thankfully, next week is a 3:30 kickoff, which I actually prefer. I really don't like noon games at all, but you know, that is what it is. I mean, the game was originally scheduled to be 8 o'clock tonight, a night game, but the hurricane kind of nixed those plans, which made Maryland's uniforms look even more ridiculous. Anyway, so team came out a little flat in the first half. They couldn't really get much of anything going. Played very, very sloppy. Rudock was 0-3 receivers. You know, again, it's something he still has trouble with the deep ball. He's over now. You can make the argument though that it was partially due to the wind, which was a factor in the game. We'll talk about the kicking game. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, he's obviously got to do a better job hitting the deep ball. I mean, his strengths right now are the slant passes and the short, quick passes. At one point, he threw a ball to I think it was either Darbo or Chesson. Both of them had good games, by the way. And the receiver basically moonwalked 10 yards after the catch, and I'm not entirely convinced he wasn't just propelled forward by the velocity of that ball because it had a rocket on it. It was a pretty quick pass. He did have one fumble, but that came out of 4th and 2, and it was stopped short, so I don't really count that. He also had a pick, but that was more due to the receiver not hanging onto the ball, I suppose any fault by Rudock. So, his stats by the way is 16 of 30 for 180 yards, averaging 6 yards with 1 touchdown. So, like I said, not just an okay day. Not spectacularly bad, not spectacularly good, just okay. Rest of the offense, again, they came out flat in the first half. They tried to get the rushing attack going, initially Ty Isaac, and Ty Isaac, he earned the number 2 spot in the rushing, had a good outing against UNLV. Today he was awful. That's basically the way to put it. He had 6 carries for 17 yards, averaged 2.0 yards to carry. His longest was 7. He didn't show up. He fumbled the ball twice, by the way. Thankfully, he recovered one of the fumbles for a 5-yard gain, but obviously he's going to have to get better on that. I mean, I might chalk it up to maybe the ball being a little bit slippery because it was a little wet out there, but he's going to have to work on that for the next teams, especially next week because Northwestern does have a pretty good defense, it looks like. Drake Johnson was our leading rusher for this game. He had 13 carries for 68 yards, averaged 5.2 yards of carries. And the box score says he has 1 touchdown. I'm pretty sure he has 2. I mean, I know he has 1 because he basically dove into the end zone on that one. But then I think he got a second one when he jumped over the offensive line like Homa did against UNLV. I'm not sure why it's not credited to him, but actually, let me see. Homa does have it. Yeah, Homa's not even listed here. So, yeah, Drake Johnson, I think, did score 2 touchdowns today. So he's fully healed from his ACL injury. He's definitely got the number 2, number 3 spot on the depth chart, depending on how Ty Isaac is feeling. By the way, Davion Smith didn't make the trip. He's sitting out with an ankle injury. He said last week it wasn't serious, but even if it's not, I'm pretty sure this wanted to give him a week off. I'm reasonably confident he could have gone out today, and even with his boot on, still put up 100 on Maryland. Passing attack, Jake Butt got some attention today. He had 4 receptions for 61 yards, his longest was the 44-yard reception. He also had a nice little run, too. He had a nice, see if I have the... It doesn't list out his stats here, but he had a nice like little 20, 30, 40-yard run, just weaving around defenders. So, yeah, Jake Butt is legit. Again, I think the reason Harbaugh hasn't been targeting Jake Butt recently is because he wants to work out the rest of the offense, and Rudolph's certainly been doing that. He's been spurting the ball out among his receivers and his tight ends. And I think once we get to serious competition, because we know Jake Butt can play, we know Jake Butt can ball. And once we start going up against a stiffer competition like the Michigan States and the Ohio States and apparently the Northwesterns of the world, I predict Butt will see a lot more targets. Speaking of which, Chesson had a good day today as well. Not sure why he's not credited with a touchdown. Oh wait, maybe he's credited with a rushing touchdown. Yeah, he is credited with a rushing touchdown. J.O. Chesson had a nice little sweep play. The entire play took about 11 seconds, I think, from the handoff to the score. No, Harbaugh drew it up perfectly. Drevno called it expertly. Rudolph just did a slant pass down to Chesson, and he just took off on a jet sweep, flew right to the defenders, and it was pretty much over. So, yeah, like I said, lackluster offensive effort in the first half. But I could kind of tell it was going to be a sloppy game because there's a nice little sequence in the first half where it wasn't really nice per se, but Ty Isaac fumbled the ball on his first carry. Maryland picked up about Michigan's 28-yard line. They were about to get down to the 10-yard line when they got flagged for the always mysterious, at least to me, offensive pass interference. And now there's like the 3rd and 20 and like the 30, and they throw a pick. So, yeah. As soon as I saw that happen, I knew, like, okay, it's going to be that kind of game. It's not going to be a shootout. It's going to be a slog. And fortunately, Michigan was able to adjust to it and just come just straight balling out in the second half, just ranging up touchdowns on the Terps like nobody's business, as well as 2-point conversion, by the way, so Harbaugh can make it a proper score. I think Harbaugh seems to be pretty obsessed with making sure it's a 2-score game. That's actually pretty good. You don't see it a lot in college football coaches. Some also interesting play calling. There's at one point where we tried, toward the end of the first half, we tried a squib kick, like an onside kick. I don't disagree with the play call, but Harbaugh was having some words with Kenny Allen afterwards. So it might be possible that both our partners have gone rogue. Blake O'Neal had a good day too. The wind didn't really seem to bother him. He was able to put the ball down deep in enemy territory, no problem. Once again, all time in the world of punt, just did a really great job overall. But I also want to press on this. This is my biggest statement from the game. Maryland is bad. This is why I can't really enjoy this victory, is because Maryland is bad, and the Big Ten should feel bad for allowing them and Rutgers to stay in the conference. I mean, if Jim Delany, if you're watching this, just get rid of them. Just kick out Maryland and Rutgers, please. They stink. They honestly stink. And every game they're allowed to play against a Big Ten team is another embarrassment for the conference. I mean, look at next week's game. Michigan right now is the only verifiable good matchup against next week, and that's against Northwestern, who I'm not really convinced is that legit. You have Michigan State and Ohio State, the cream of the crop in the Big Ten, playing Rutgers and Maryland. It's going to be Moon 2 and a dumpster fire. It's... wow. And this team is awful. They're really awful. I mean, their quarterback, Caleb Rowe, he threw 3 picks. They're bringing their backup, Dax Garman. He wasn't much better. He goes 1 of 5. 1 of 5. And Maryland, once again, barely cracks 100 yards. And their all-star kick returner, their punt returner, William Likely, longest he had was 31. He couldn't get anywhere. Maryland's just horrible. There's no way around it. They are ruining the satisfaction, or rather the enjoyment of this win for me. And I could just watch TV there. I just remembered it could have been worse. It could have been Texas and TCU. If you haven't checked the Texas TCU score yet, if you haven't checked that score, don't. It's not pretty. It just isn't. Okay, so yeah, I don't really want to talk about this anymore before I start ranting more about Maryland. So yeah, decent game. Another shutout. The first time we've had 2 shutouts in a row since 2000. And next week we have Northwestern, which, like I said, is the return of the moon game. Now we're going to find out if Northwestern's legit or not. All right, so that's it for me. Thank you for watching, as always, go blue. Seriously, get rid of Maryland Rutgers. Just get rid of them. I'm begging you, Jim Delany. I'm begging you. Get rid of them. The conference will thank you for it.